Morning to everyone, and we are back on our Saturday morning session. I'm delighted that we are meeting regularly, and we will begin this session once again with a prayer to everybody's good health. Sarve bhavantu sukhina, sarve santu niramay, sarve bhadrani paschantu, ma kaschid dukh bhavet. This is the prayer for everybody's well-being in this whole world. Now we were talking about the 5 seats of human entity. We talked about 3 seats in our last session, but let me repeat little bit to put the perspective back so that we can finish it very nicely this afternoon, this morning. The first seat was the Annamaya Kosha, which is the food seat, which is the body. The body is made of food because the food we eat gets converted into uh, our blood, our flesh, our bones, our other parts of the body, neurons, whatever we have in the body. It gets converted. The food gets converted into those body parts. So that is basically the food sheath. We talked about that before, and then the energy sheath, which is Pranamaya Kosha. It provides energy, it provides regulates the entire digestive system, the excretory system, the circulatory system inside the body, the system of keeping all the body parts into their respective functions. And then comes the Vijnanamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, the mind sheath. And we were talking about the mind sheath in detail at the end of our last session. I want to go back to that little bit once again because this is a very, very important sheath so far as human transformation is concerned. If we analyze ourselves properly, we will realize that we get somewhat biased in our lives because of certain fixed patterns of our behavior, because of certain fixed ideas which we have imbibed over time, because of certain beliefs and opinions we have cultivated. Now, certain ideas which are given to us in our childhood, they germinate very well and they become a sort of our personality. Uh, for example, you belong to a particular political party, Congress party. Now, nobody will, tolerate what we call criticism of the party you belong to. You will try to defend it to the best possible way. Whatever, whether it is justified or not, you will try and justify the good points of the party. So once you attach to some idea, once you attach to an institution, once you attach to an opinion, then your objectivity is lost because you try to defend what you have made uh, your own attachment. A Hindu will not accept the criticism of Hinduism. A Muslim will not accept the criticism of Islam. A Christians will not accept the criticism of Christianity. It's like protecting your own tribe. That is what happens. And we lose our objectivity in the process. Now, it is not easy to get out of that phenomenon, but if we can do what we call meditation, manan, meditation here I mean manan. If you can, if we can meditate within our own self about our thinking process, then this prism which we form outside to see the rest of the world can get diluted, and then we can see things more objectively. I think this is a very important point to become more objective in life, to become less rigid and less opinionated and less biased in our approach. That is what we need today because most of us become biased over a period of time. We developed an ideology of our own based on the inputs we have received over time. And that makes us analyze everything we receive through that prism. And that is not easy to change. and therefore a little bit of internal thinking is needed to make oneself little more objective to the rest of the world. I think that is the point I wanted to make, in addition to what we discussed last time in respect of Manomaya Kosha. Actually, this kosha, or this we call it actually mental body, is really the key to transformation of human life. This is also the key which doubts everything. Man doubts everything. You do any good thing in life. For example, you are donating something to a school for good cause. Even then, one will create doubt inside. Somebody will come and tell you, oh, this school is not doing well. This school is promoting this particular ideology. Don't do it. And immediately a doubt will come in your mind. So the mind also doubts. But at the same time mind also help in resolving the doubt. It's both way. The resolution of doubt and creating the doubt. So I think we have to analyze this kosha with little more profoundness, and a little thinking, inner thinking is needed about everybody's own actions in life, so that one can be little more objective. So this is what I wanted to mention about Manomaya Kosha a little bit today before we go to Vigyanmaya Kosha. Now, Vigyanmaya Kosha is basically intellectual body. You can call it wisdom body also, because intellectual is one stage and wisdom is the higher stage of intellect. Now, intellect is basically reasoning. You find arguments for certain things which you have adopted in life. You adopt first and then you find argument. That is the normal process we do. We use our intellect to justify our actions. Our actions do not come because of your intellect, but intellect is used to justify the action. You will find it everywhere. You can see the TV debates every evening, 8 o'clock. Everybody is justifying their argument, their position, their words they have spoken on any particular issue. This is a mind-boggling thing. You can invent argument for anything in this world. Even the best task you do in life, you can find arguments against it. And Mahabharata is the best example, where you find arguments for and against every good or bad thing. Even when Draupadi was, an attempt was made to denude her. Even in favor of that, you could find very strong arguments in Mahabharata, and of course against you could find. So you can find arguments in favor of a murder, you can find arguments against a murder, you can find argument against a philanthropic act, you can find arguments in favor of dictatorship, you can find arguments against democracy. So everything is possible through intellectual means. What we read in the newspapers, what we study in our books, what we see on TV screens, what we see on social media these days, you find most of these are filled with the intellectual arguments to justify the stand they have taken. Now, how this Vigyanmaya Kosha works? Vigyanmaya Kosha is the layer higher than Manomaya Kosha. It is even thinner than the Manomaya Kosha. But you can feel it, in your mind. When you realize, you can feel it that the argumentative skill is beyond the mind. A thought comes in the mind, then the intellect analyzes it, puts the statistics together, synthesizes it, various judgments are put together, and then you come out with your arguments. So that is the task of the intellect. But the real task of the intellect is always missed in this process. The finding an argument is a lower task of the Vigyanmaya Kosha, of the wisdom body. The higher task of the wisdom body is to find wisdom. to find an eternal truth out of all the information you get. You synthesize all the information, you put them together, you analyze them, and then come to an objective analysis which leads to a sort of wisdom that this is how it is. For example, I give you a small example. We meet on this group. Everybody has different opinion. Obviously, it is natural. That is how we are created. So we have to understand that everybody has different opinions. The way they have been brought up, the way they have been educated, the way the kind of friends they have made, the kind of experiences they have held in life, obviously gives them a different viewpoint in life. And we have to accept this, what you call diversity. And we have to find a common way out of the diversity. Now, this is the wisdom. The wisdom is that we have to accept differences. People are bound to have different experiences, different educations, and different viewpoints, but still we can work together. We can find a common objective, and that is what the wisdom is. You can criticize a person using your intellect because you can find arguments against him. You can praise another person, you can find arguments for him, supporting him, and that is always possible. But that is the lower category of intellectual play. The higher category of intellectual play is to understand the reality in a holistic way and then draw a conclusion. Like another example, it is true that everybody who is born will die. We are all supposed to die, but the life never dies. The life will survive. The life has always survived. Thousands years back in time, there was life, and maybe millions of years from today, there would be life. But we will die. This is a fact of life. So this is the a wise conclusion that okay, individuals will die, individuals will be born, but the life will survive forever. Now, this is the kind of arguments which can ultimately lead to wise conclusions. And therefore, we have to reach the state of wisdom utilizing this intellectual power which we have. And that is why this intellectual body is actually called body of wisdom, because that is the higher category of intellectual power. And our mission in life should be to reach that wisdom where we can have stability, where we can accept diversity, where we can live together as what you call in a coordinated way. Now, these are very important concepts, and these concepts originate within ourselves. These layers are not from outside. These layers are from in our own body. And we can arrive to very wise conclusions, to a state of wisdom by utilizing these layers of our own body. Now, if we can reach that state, in Sanskrit it is called Sthit Pragya. Pragya is wisdom. Sthit means stabilized wisdom. So if you can reach the state where you can stabilize your wisdom, it gives you tremendous amount of happiness. You will not be, moved, and you will not be disturbed by the happenings around you, because you will take them as the reality of life. That this is part of life. It has to happen. There are so many actors in a play, and every actor has his own role to play. Let them play, let me play my role, and let me be happy. Now, if you reach that stage of sthit pragya, then I think you can, or we can, attain a state where nobody will be able to disturb our mental peace. And that is very, very important. इसको there's another example given here. That's a कछुआ अपने अंगों को समेट लेता है. That is one part, that the you have seen the kachwa, how it can put together, hold its own body completely, immune to the outside interference. And that is the example which is given in Bhagavad Gita. So we can become, uh, in certain ways, I won't say you become completely immune, but largely you become immune to the outside events and disturbances if you can reach the state of wisdom body. And that wisdom body can come through, internal debate, manan. It's the manthan inside, that okay, these are the realities of life. This is what I did today, and this caused so many, stress on me. Why did it happen? Can it be avoided? Now if you think objectively on all the elements which are disturbing you and your mental peace, you will come to certain conclusions, and that will keep you absolutely immune to those disturbances in the future. This is my personal experience. I have been able to reduce these disturbances tremendously. Let me narrate one instance of my life to illustrate this point. When I was ambassador to Hungary and Bosnia, I thought that now I'm entitled to go as ambassador. That was my thinking that time, to a very, more important country in the world. And all of a sudden, without my knowledge, nobody asked me, nobody told me anything, and they posted me to the West Indies, based in Trinidad and Tobago. There were four other island countries which were part of my jurisdiction. So I was posted as High Commissioner to 5 countries. Now it sounds good, but I thought, I'm being sent to a country which is not so important in the geopolitics of India. I'm going far away from India, and I was very, very unhappy. I moved, my forces, in the sense I approached the people who decide on these issues, the foreign secretary, the minister of state, and some other people, and finally nothing happened. Then I realized that, why are you making your life miserable? Accept the reality. The decision has been taken, and you should accept this reality and go there. And believe me, there were variety of events in my personal life which were linked to that, including the sudden death of my mother. And I reached, because of that transfer, I could reach half an hour before my mother passed away. And I was sitting and talking to her and giving her a cup of tea when she passed away. If that had not happened, I could not have seen her in that state. And then I enjoyed my posting in the Caribbean. So, you know, you can reduce the stress, you can reduce the resistance within yourself by accepting the reality outside. And we cannot control the what you call the movement of the universe. Universe has its own movement. In Sanskrit they call it Jagati. Jagati means collective movement of humanity. For example, everybody has a cell phone today. If you don't have a cell phone, you will be thrown out of the market. You cannot reach anybody. And therefore, you have to follow into the collective movement of humanity. You have to have a cell phone. Today, if you come on a horse to your office, everybody will laugh at you. While this was a common thing, say 100 years ago, everybody used to go on the horses. But the collective movement of the humanity has gone somewhere else, and we have to accept that collective movement. So that is what we have to understand through this kosa. I would like to give you 6 important points of this kosha, which are worth noting. Once you are deep into this kosh, then you can be closer to the real knowledge of life. What we read and what we study is more like information. It's not the knowledge of reality. But once you go deep into your Vigyanmaya Kosa, you are closest to the what we call the knowledge of reality. It is called Tattva Gyan in many of our writings, but it is the fundamental knowledge of the truth. So you can reach very close to that. It gives you deeper connection to your intuition, to your the wisest sense of your life. So that is the first thing which can happen with the development of this kosha, proper development. Secondly, when you are deep into this, you will not speak without contemplating. You will think before you speak. Some people you will find tend to speak without thinking, without any purpose, without realizing what they are saying. That will completely stop. It will come to a complete halt. So whenever you speak, you will realize that my words have a meaning. They can impact others, and therefore I should think before I speak. And that comes if you develop this course properly. The third point is that it resolves the dualities of mind. As I mentioned to you, the one of the tasks of the mind is to see the seed of doubt. It sees the seed of doubt. For example, you are going to somebody's birthday party. Now you want to take a gift. You decide to buy a particular gift. Somebody will give you an idea here and there, and then a doubt is created. Oh, this is good or that is good, and you will have an argument on this: what should be bought, what should not be bought, and it creates unnecessary confusion. Now that doubt can be resolved through the wisdom given by this kosha. So wisdom is nurtured, perpetuated. It is, germinated with proper ingredients over time. But manan and meditation are two of the great, what you call inputs to make this course grow properly. So to dissolve all the doubts is the third important point, which this kosha can help us. And then it can give us what we call stability in our decision making. Then our decisions are not, you know, changing every moment. You are not having that so-called flickering mind, You are more like a stable person, and you take things as they come. So this is the third point. The fourth is this course will also enable you to overcome unnecessary desires. Desires grow up in our mind, and all kinds of desires happen. Once you have developed a sense of wisdom, the unnecessary desire will fall apart on their own. You don't even have to do anything to fall them apart. They will fall. They will not even come near to you. It's like, you know, uh, uh, if you have a very strong policeman who is known for his strength in the region, the thief will automatically drop out. They will not even dare to do their job of stealing, because they know that this guy is very strong, and they will not dare to operate in his area of function. The same thing happens when you have developed wisdom in yourself, or the Vijnanmaya Kosha properly. Then all these desires which are frivolous, which keep coming, going, and disturbing your peace, telling you do this, do that, they will drop automatically. They will just get away out of your system. So this is very, very important point, that you will become very disciplined, your life will become regulated, and your frivolous desires which keep moving you from here and there, they will drop away, they will go away. Then the fifth point is that naturally when this happens, you feel more contented, you feel happier. It's natural process, because you are deeply connected inside. You are, not having disturbances are not affecting you from outside. Uh, your doubts have been resolved, your desires have reduced considerably. So all this gives you a feeling of contentment, happiness, peace. So this happens once you develop this kosha. So this is the fifth point. And one of the points, for people who do this, you will realize a person who is a great painter, or a very big writer, or a great mathematician or scientist or an artist, they will all have a higher level of wisdom. This is a sign. A person who is a great poet, or a person who is a great writer, or a person who is a great singer, or a person who is doing a job with great perfection, he will have higher level of wisdom. You can presume it. Anybody who is doing a job with great perfection, and particularly in the field of art and culture, poetry, writing, mathematics, that kind of person has higher level of wisdom body. This is a fact of life. You will realize it when you talk to these people, because they go to those levels of perfection only after they have developed their inner wisdom through this kosha. So this is a very important kosha for our body, both this and the previous one, as we discussed, because these have the capacity to transform uh, our life completely. And this transformation can take a shape which is unbelievable. You won't believe it when it happens, but after it happens, you will feel that how happier you are. I I can feel it myself with my own experiences, but I'm sure you will feel the same way once you have reached that stage. Now, the last kosha in this series is Anandamaya kosha, or the bliss body, the body which is completely, what you call blessed or bliss, which is completely full of joy. Now, that is a very difficult state. That state comes only when you are able to surrender your ego completely. Surrendering the ego is the essential requirement of final bliss. In Sanskrit, it is called samarpan, that you give away that you exist. You feel that only the what you call universe exists. The samasti exists. Vyakti does not exist. That is what happens. We are a small little cog in the entire system of this universe. And things happen not because of us, but things happen to us because of this universe. The thinking comes the other way around. No, but that thinking is not easy. To give up ego that I am so and so is not easy process. Everybody has it. Some people have been able to reduce it. Some people can get away with it, but that those are rare cases. And that position is called also samadhi. Samadhi means you are completely what you call dissolved into the whole. A whole means the whole universe. You are dissolved into the whole. You don't exist. That is the meaning of samadhi. You have become completely equanimous. Nothing will affect you from outside world, because you are sthit pragya inside, and you have given up your ego 100%. You feel that I don't exist, only the universal force, universal consciousness does everything, and I am simply a small little cog in the entire process. Now, that is a very, very fine stage. It's not easy to reach that. Very, very few people are able to reach that state of pure consciousness. If that state is arrived to somebody, you can see it on his face. The person will be absolutely composed, absolutely cool. He will be eternally happy. He will have respect for everybody. He will want unity of everybody. He will not be happy with praise. He will not be unhappy with criticism. So those are the kind of symptoms, or you can call it the lakshan of the person who has attained that state. He will have respect for everything. He will tolerate everything. It does not mean that he will tolerate evil, but he will tolerate evil, but he will tackle it in such a way that the other person will get a lesson that he should not do it. So this is a very, very fine, state where you are one with your own self. The duality is completely gone. There is no subject and no object. You are the subject and you are the object. Uh, there's nothing outside in that state of mind. But as I mentioned to you, that state is meant only for very, very rare souls. It's not for everybody. And one cannot abandon it thinking that it is not for everybody. It can happen to anybody, but it requires tremendous discipline. And we have to cover the first four stages in a very perfect manner to reach the fifth one. Now, let me tell you a little bit about the composition of these five states of human layers. You see, universe is one single entity. We discussed it in one of our talks that we are all interconnected. How things work in this universe, that if you, for example, if you cut the forest, the rains will stop because the forest attract rains. The mountains attract rains. If you demolish mountains, the rains will stop. If the rains will stop, the food production will stop. The land will become deserted. If the land will become deserted, the life will disappear. So these are all interconnected things. Look at the sun. People say the sun is, billions of kilometers away from here. How does it matter? But that sun billions of kilometers away affects every single moment of our life. We get up with the sunrise, we sleep with the sunset, our food digestive system works with the sun. We are able to see the world because of the sunlight. The whole system of the universe is interconnected. And the interconnection is through the five fundamental elements of life. That is the Akash, Vayu, Agni, Jal, and Prithvi. Now, these koshas which we discussed, five koshas, they also have a correlation with these five elements. I told you once that our five senses of perception, they are also directly linked to the five elements of nature. For example, the sense of the sense organ of sound, the hearing, is connected to Akash. The eyes are connected to fire, that is, sun in that sense. The smell is connected to earth. Taste is connected to water. Touch is connected to air. These five koshas are also connected to the five gross elements of nature. The physical body, Annamaya kosha, is connected to earth and water. These are the two principal elements of that connection. Most of the food and water, which is forming our Annamaya kosha, is constituted of food and water, but actually earth and water. Then the energy body is connected primarily with fire, but also with water. The combination of fire and water is the composes our energy body. Fire in the sense because the energy body is also responsible for internal digestive and circulatory systems of the body. The fire is the energy which regulates that system, and water is the movement inside regulating. The two of them mix together and they regulate all the systems. So that is the energy body connected to fire and water. The emotional body or the manomaya kosh, it is connected to three of them actually. The fire, the air, and the space. Fire, air, and space. Air is the main component here because air moves the same way mind moves. Air is never constant, mind is never constant. In some of the writings, it is said that the air and the mind are made of the same material. But mind also has fire because mind has very fast movement. It can give you also resolve will. It can also dissolve you. So it has that fiery thing. It has that what you call energy, force of energy, and it has water because there's a movement here and there. Not water, sorry. It has a space because the mind moves in the space. All the space is available for the movement of mind. So the emotional body or the manomaya kosha, the mental body, is having three great elements: fire, air, and space together. Then wisdom body is primarily made of space, primarily, but it has some element of fire because of the uh, analysis, discernment, and resolution. But it is primarily space. And then, of course, the bliss body is the pure consciousness, the self. It is beyond the five great elements of life. So this is the what you call physical composition of these five koshas in human body. They are deeply connected to the outside nature, the five elements of the nature. And what happens inside is a dance. It's a dance of mass. Mass is the comes from earth, the food. It's the dance of feelings. The feelings come from air and fire. This is the dance of that. It is the dance of heat inside. You have heat and subtle elements inside. It is the dance of those. It is the dance of thought, ideas, imaginations. That is primarily the air. It is the dance. It is the movement of circulatory systems. That is the lot of water and solid things inside. So it is the dance of these five great elements inside the human body through these five koshas. This dance is a perpetual dance. We can be a witness to the dance provided we can establish ourselves in that pure consciousness. Then we can only see these cells moving and flickering and behaving like stars in the sky. That is possible to do that provided you can settle yourself with what you call sthit pragya and inside your pure consciousness. But gradually, when you reach the Vijnanamaya Kosha, you can start feeling it substantially. That you can see this dance inside your body. It is the dance of food, it is the dance of water, dance of heat, dance of air, dance of space. Because through these things, we have the heat, we have the thoughts, we have the feelings, we have the the imaginations, the analysis, the rationality, the arguments, all this come from these things. So this is the dance of these five elements. These kosas are connected to these five elements. We are connected to the five elements, and we are one with nature through this play of five elements. So I think I will stop here today. This is, in a sense, the precise or rough description of the five elements and the five koshas of the human body, how they regulate our system, how they play inside our body, and how we can, regulate them through our actions, through our realization. Meditation is one of them where we feel that we are able to control the mind, we are able to control the desires, we are able to control the intellects, we are able to control the body. In this process, we have to do this exercise again and again. Before I stop today, let me also give you another example how a resolution, how a sankalp works in our system. If somebody decides to take a resolution that today I will not eat anything, I tell you, your body will respond and you will not feel hungry. If you take it in that way, so the resolution can help human being tremendously. And this resolution is the function of uh, Manomay and Vigyanmay kosha. These two koshas can give you resolution to tackle anything in life. But this has to come deep inside, from deep inside. It has to be completely, strong. It has to be perseverance, as we call in English. And that resolution can, make us transform our body. And that is the purpose that we should know these koshas, their functioning, and their functioning can help us in analyzing our own self to come up with a resolution how to improve our own happiness, how to improve our own peace, how to be happy in life. So thank you very much. And any questions, I'll be happy to answer. Thank you.